Hey everybody, I'm Ebouaney, aka The Terrible Australian at Supermastery.com, and welcome to my video review of the action thriller Bastille Day. So let's get right into it. Now, I'm a big fan of action films, so this film, when I heard about Bastille Day, I just knew that it definitely would have to check it out at some point. And one of the main reasons for that, of course, is who the lead is, and that's, of course, is Idris Elba, who I'm a big fan of, and he pretty much, no matter what film he is, whether it's a good film or a bad film, he usually ends up always being the best part of it, and he has just a great charismatic presence to him. Like, he's able to be funny and charismatic and really serious and gritty, and, you know, like, he's just a really good actor, and the fact that he's sort of the lead of his own kind of action film definitely was one of the reasons why I wanted to check this one out. And of course, you know, it has a pretty solid supporting cast as well, with, you know, Madden, Kelly Reilly, Charlotte LeBon, and it was directed by James Watkins, who previously directed the horror films Eden Lake and The Woman in Black. So this is him stepping out of the horror genre to take on an action film, and I love it when sort of directors who are kind of mostly known to sticking to one genre kind of sort of you know, take a bit of sort of go against type and do something else. So in that, even though this is only his third film, but you know, the fact that he kind of brings sort of what he learned as a horror director to the action genre, like, really helped. Like, in the way that, you know, the action scenes and all that are staged. Like, a lot of them are really well done, quite kick-ass, and there's also, he does a pretty good job with some of the film's more intense sequences as well. And of course, like, Idris Elba is just a total badass. Like, he's just great. Like, he just commands the screen every time he's on, and like, his sort of relationship with Richard Madden's character. The film is, in a way, is kind of like a buddy action film. Well, and it is, and sort of teams up with Richard Madden's character and the sort of the height, sort of their what happens to them during the film was, I found a lot of fun, and in a way, Richard Madden kind of brings some of the film's kind of humor to it as well. And but one of the things that I really liked about the film is that the story. Like, I'm not going to say it's like the best written action film of all time, but I have to give it a lot of credit, because it sort of tackles some really interesting themes in it, and the way sort of. And the fact that it sort of deals with terrorism in a really interesting way that feels so relevant right now. It just made the film, like, have a bit more weight to it, but it does some really interesting things with it, with its story. And it actually went to some places that I honestly did not expect, and I found quite surprising. And I got to give an action film credit for doing that. Like, I'm not going to say, like I said, in terms of, like, some of the dialogue, yeah, it can be a bit hokey, and like, it could have sort of been refined a little bit more, but I think in terms of action film scripts, like, especially kind of lower tide action films, I thought this was pretty well written for most part, and it's just really well directed, and like I said, the story's really interesting and compelling, the actions are well done, the cast are pretty solid, but of course it really is Idris Elba's show. Like, he just is he's just, every time he's on screen, you just stand up and pay attention, and he's totally believable as a badass, and he does sort of the action sequences extremely well, and, like, in a way, this is definitely his Taken or something like that, in terms of, like, his own sort of little action franchise. And I have to say, I was really surprised that Luc Besson had nothing to do with this film. Like, it's set in France, and I kept thinking, like, oh, like, this must be like a Luc Besson joint. Like, in terms of him sort of writing and producing action films, like, you know, the Taken films or the Transporter and that, it kind of felt like that type of film, but he had nothing to do with it all. So I guess in a way, this is probably the best Luc Besson action film that Luc Besson himself didn't make, so, or at least involved in. But I have to say, though, compared to sort of some of Luc Besson's sort of written and produced action films for other directors, this is definitely way better than most of them. Like, I just thought it was a lot of fun, had a lot of kick-ass action, and it just had a really interesting story with it as well. So, and of course, a badass turn from Idris Elba, which, if you're a fan of Idris, you're definitely going to enjoy this film as well. So yeah, overall, Bastille Day, a really solid, really entertaining, and really compelling action film. Not the greatest of all time, but it's a lot of fun. So if I have to give this film a rating, I give it a solid 3.5. So yep, that's the end of my video review of Bastille Day. I hope you guys all enjoyed it, and I'll see you all later. See you everyone. Bye.